for centuries. A place that Native Americans have treated as sacred for generations. A place where the wind will always play a starring role in the soundscape. Now imagine that place expressed through a piece of music. That place is the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. And that music is an original composition called the Malheur Symphony. While the music was inspired by the natural wonder of the refuge, it was a man-made conflict that sparked the symphony's creation.
You do not believe
you
freedom.
people do not broadcast real news.
You don't have freedom of speech. Go down to Safeway.
In 2016, the refuge became a household name, not because of the beauty of its setting, but because of an ugly debate that threatened to divide the entire region.
This is your land. This is Utah. This is Oregon. This is Harney counties. It's not ours.
For 41 days, armed occupiers took a stand against what they believed was government overreach by taking over federal property. At the time, a Hollywood film and TV composer named Chris Thomas, originally from Pendleton, had just moved back to Oregon to live in Bend.
My friends were getting in touch with me from other parts of the country saying, yeah, we know you moved back to Oregon, so is this a regular thing? Do you have militias and standoffs frequently in this part of the country? And I thought, oh no, this is the conversation we're going to be having about Oregon for a while. It's hijacked everything that I think is amazing and wonderful about the state.
It turns out, while Thomas was concerned about what the standoff was doing to the reputation of his beloved home, a project was already in the works to redirect the conversation that the world was having about Malheur.
The gentleman named Jay Bowerman, he came to me with this idea that all of the activities that had been happening in Burns, specifically with the Malheur Nature Refuge, had detracted from the beauty of the area, and all of a sudden Burns was national news because of one very divisive and not very representational event of that community.
Bowerman and the Central Oregon Symphony Association commissioned Thomas, the Eastern Oregon native, to tell the story of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge through music.
The picture that Jay had painted to me was very cinematic, for lack of a better term. And so it was like, this is the music that Chris writes. He writes music that makes people think of images.
As a composer, Thomas had written soundtracks for everything from horror movies to theme parks. But this was a chance to represent the place where he grew up.
You're used to composing, scoring visuals, applying music to visuals, but had you ever gone somewhere where you're applying music to an actual landscape that's not on film or tape or a digital computer?
This was the first time that I wrote a piece of music that was about a place and celebrating all the interesting aspects of it and stories of its past.
To tell that story, Thomas took a sound engineer to the refuge and listened to the birds, to the wind, capturing the sound cloud of the landscape and translating it into a meaningful menagerie of musical notes.
It's a 20th, 21st century compositional technique to not notate exactly what everybody should do, to just say, here you go. Here is a random smattering of notes. Please play any of these any way you wish, in any order you wish, at any speed you wish, because there's an effect that I'm trying to get with this cacophony.
And I'll leave just a small collection of notes in just a little bubble, and players can choose to play them like a flautist can play them very punchy and staccato, just over and over, or play those exact same notes very mellow and legato and slow. Everyone slowly trickles in this section. There's no tempo from the conductor. He just cues in different sections whenever he feels like and begins to add to this cloud of sound. And just it's this cacophony that I was hoping would mimic the sound of just all the layers of birds competing over each other out at the refuge.
What is a symphony to you?
Well, to me, a symphony is a way to tell a very big story. Instead of just one piece of music where you get just one moment to deal with one small thing, a symphony is lots of pieces of music in one larger structure. And each piece can tell incremental parts of the story. So I can grow the tale and I can talk about, in this case with Malheur, I could talk about the early formation of the basin all the way to the 10,000 years of the Paiute history. Tell about the troubles through the 1800s all the way through the story of the birds of the refuge, and then a big fanfare celebrating the future. So rather than one little thing, I get to tell this dynamic, fun story with lots of emotional highs and lows. So I would think it would be a fun kind of just cinematic experience.
The Malheur Symphony made its world premiere on May 5th in Burns, the community most associated with and divided by the standoff in 2016.
Some of the people came up and said, I'm sitting there with my eyes closed in the auditorium listening, and what I'm hearing is exactly what I hear out my back door when I have coffee in the morning. I mean, it was truly a musical picture of Malheur, because not only was it really there, but Chris had done such a lovely job of capturing that and then building on that with the orchestra.
It was the first time I've seen that many tears after a performance. What happened in Burns was pretty scarring to a lot of people in the community, and lots of other people with very similar stories, and it brought up a lot of rawness I didn't expect, and just the fact that we stopped to acknowledge that seemed to mean a lot, and that was a new experience for me. I'm often brought in to write something fun and interesting for people to hear, to judge just on the musical merits, but this was different.
This woman wrote me this really lovely note, on Tuesday, and said, there were people that I know who were vehemently opposed to each other in terms of what that whole event was about, sitting next to each other in the concert, having conversation, shaking hands. There is nothing better that music could have accomplished than for that to happen. Is it going to fix anything right now in a big way? No, but it's a start. And that's really kind of the germ of what Jay had in mind all along.
This is music about my home turf, as written very intimately about the region that I'm from. And it was an interesting opportunity to get to say something like that and leave a mark on my own, on my own home region. So, yeah, that meant a lot to get to do.